And we are live on episode 69. Yes, episode 69 for all of you sophomoric jokesters out there. This is the 69th episode of the Red Man Group. I am joined today by none other than, of course, Steve the Dean Williams. We also have a new member by the name of DDJ. DDJ has written a book called The Feminist Lie. Now, DDJ, you've been on the show before. I actually missed episode 41 that you were on. But for those in our audience who are not familiar with you, sort of reintroduce yourself, tell people who you are, the things that you do, etc.
Okay. So I run the YouTube channel Miss Andry Today, and obviously Miss Andry Today on YouTube. It's also on BitChute. I also run the website, which is currently under construction because we're doing major updates at missandrytoday.com. I wrote the Amazon bestseller, The Feminist Lie, which was released in May of 2017. It was a bestseller on multiple bestseller lists on Amazon for the first 2 weeks it was out, probably the first year and a half that it was out. It was a bestseller off and on, and when it wasn't a bestseller, it was within the top 10. The book has had great reviews. A lot of other authors have used it as in their bibliographies as source material. I've had college students use it as well. Hashtag shill alert, check out The Feminist Lie. Basically, I kind of started my YouTube career hosting, or co-hosting, I should say, the Turd Flinging Monkey Show. And since then, we've kind of moved on. He's done his thing. I've done my thing. And I've just been pretty much kind of doing my own thing. I've been doing a lot of traveling around and doing some things behind the scenes. But really, my channel focuses on, red pill knowledge, healthy masculinity, as well as a lot of the legal ramifications of what a lot of men go through. And I always say, too, that there is no gender war. However, there is a war on men specifically. And so, I've been a paralegal for over 10 years. I'm a father of 4. I'm a grandfather of 2, was married twice, was divorced twice. I won custody of my children both times. So not only have I worked in the family law legal field extensively, primarily in litigation and appeals, but in addition to that, I was a father. I was a single father for over 8 years, raising my children by myself. So I do have a little bit of knowledge in this field, both academically as well as firsthand knowledge as well.
Excellent. Now, you tell people, now this is why you have such extensive knowledge about, and again, this is not legal advice, nor is it intended to be, but you are a paralegal you've been a paralegal for 10 years. Tell our viewers how that makes you, I don't want to say uniquely qualified, but give us sort of a firsthand Reader's Digest look on why being a paralegal gave you sort of a front row seat on the way men are treated specifically in family court.
Well, so in the mid 90s, I actually had custody of my 2 older children, and I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. I had custody of my 2 oldest children. And when I realized, and I was just, at that point, I had no legal knowledge. I was completely legally ignorant. I had some college behind me, and I was in my early 20s. I couldn't get anybody to defend my children once I started seeing evidence of sexual assault. And so I couldn't get any attorneys to defend me. And again, I had custody. When I finally took my kids in to protect them, I contacted law enforcement. I contacted the sexual assault center. I contacted the children's pediatrician. I did all the things. They turned that around and they crucified me, and they took my children from me for 5 years, where they were sexually assaulted in the home of my ex-wife by her new husband. So I couldn't get anybody to defend me. And I realized that if I just hunted this guy down and shot him, knowing what I know about women, she would just find some other healthy, piece of garbage to hook up with. And that's a problem. So I needed to make sure I was there for my children, because at this point I didn't see anybody else who could have been. Right. So what I did was I learned the law, and I ended up, I litigated myself into poverty. So I couldn't afford an attorney anymore. So I learned the law and I started defending myself. I hooked up at that point with MRAs and, gadflies around the courthouse and things. And I just started litigating, and I started winning. And so eventually a couple of attorneys noticed what I was doing, and they said, "Oh my God, are you an attorney?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just some random dude." Then they pulled me aside and said, come by my office and this kind of thing. And then they basically, what they were doing is they were filling holes in my knowledge, and they were kind of teaching me the rules of the road. So as a paralegal, one of the things that you do is you research the law.
Right.
So you research the law, you research the statutes, but most importantly, you research how the courts have interpreted this in the past. Because obviously, you know, there's a difference between theory and practice, not just in law, but in fighting and in any kind of field that you're in. And so knowing what the reality of the situations are on the ground is extremely important. And you only get that from either good mentorship or you get that with experience. And so as a paralegal, you know, one of the things that I do is I look at the statutes, I look at the case law, I look at the court procedures for the court, but I also look at the personality of the court as well. So as a paralegal, once you dig into it, as you get experience, you get a lot of knowledge that an attorney can do. And so, like, because I've done it for so long, I can do everything an attorney can do except for walk into court for a client.
Right. Wow.
And in fact, I've had many attorneys. I've done what's called the Layman's Legal Clinic on my channel, and I've had an attorney co-host that with me. And he's even said, like in the very first Layman's Legal Clinic we did, he's even said, you know, because you've done so much research, because your focus has been litigation and appeals, he said I was teaching him things. So there's a lot of knowledge that's there, and obviously everybody has something to teach, even if it's, you know, what not to do, right?
Right.
But the advantage is that when you focus on litigation and you focus on the actual court thing, it puts you in a very unique situation, especially because I was connected with a lot of MRAs. So I know a lot about what men go through. Number one, because I've been through it myself. Right. But number two, I've helped, you know, dozens upon dozens of men get custody of their children back. And so at the end of the day, when you learn how to fight and you start to win, you can kind of rinse and repeat some of those things with minor variations and help a lot of men in the trade. So as far as, you know, how that works, obviously in family law, a lot of people talk about this in the context of custody and child, you know, bearing and those types of things. But what I found was that family law is very multifaceted. So a lot of men are getting falsely accused of DV. A lot of men are getting falsely accused of sexual harassment and all those types of things. Every one of those things dovetails family law. And so when you look at my channel and you look at some of the things that are there, I talk about some of the dangers and kind of how to mitigate some of those dangers from my perspective. And I think that is important. And also, as a single father who spent 8 years raising his children by himself, I have an idea of the non-legal piece of it as well. In other words, you know, like the emotional toll, the emotional cost. In addition to that, you know, I know that, you know, parenting doesn't stop when your children turn 18. So the idea is that men have to have multi-generational mentorship. And because there's been a war on men for so long, I'm hoping that my channel and my involvement with the Red Man Group will assist you guys in doing that. Because one of the things that I told Anthony about early on when we all when he invited me, is I said, one of the things that I really appreciate about the Red Man Group is that you guys provide mentorship to men who don't have it because their fathers are out of the home or because of, you know, life circumstances and things like that. And so that's part of the reason why when he invited me and when the conversation happened, I was like, absolutely, because this is how we help men. This is how we bring it forward. And this is how we, you know, basically allow steel to sharpen steel.
Gotcha. Wow. What an introduction, man. And it's interesting. A lot of guys, you know, look at men like yourself and be like, wait a minute, you actually won in family court. You have custody of your kids after all of that. You're an example. You're an outlier, but you are an example that, yes, it can be done. This gives men hope that, hey, you don't have to go into family court and just, you know, roll over and play dead. If you do fight, if you have the right knowledge, if you hire the right attorney, align yourself with the right people, you can at the very least raise the odds of a favorable outcome in your favor.
Well, and let me dovetail that by saying there's another piece that everybody else misses as well that I'm uniquely situated to discuss. And that is that when you're in family court and you're suffering what I like to refer to as the feminist family court discrimination, that takes an emotional toll.
Yes, it does.
And men with healthy levels of testosterone, what ends up happening is that the goal of family court, the goal of targeting men is to isolate them emotionally, to isolate them socially, and to isolate them financially. So child support ends up being used as a weapon. It ends up getting set too high. The parenting plan ends up being completely inappropriate, and you're deprived of the companionship and the parenting of your children. And then on top of that, as a man, as everybody knows, you know, when a man basically is vulnerable and says, you know, hey, I need support, most people turn their back on that man because And all those things serve to emotionally, financially, and legally isolate him. So my goal is to say, look, not only do you have to be able to win in family court, but you need to win with your sanity intact.
Right.
And on top of that, you need to make sure that you're still a father for your children. Because if you get upset one night and you drink a 12-pack and get a DUI, that's a problem.
Right.
If you get upset one night and you decide that you're going to beat somebody because you're frustrated, that's a problem. So one of the things that I try to do is to help men create support systems to allow themselves to vent. And so, like in any kind of legal situation, the people involved at some point, they're going to fall apart, they're going to fall down, they're going to break down. And so one of the things I try to stress upon people is to say, look, you're going to break down. These things are going to happen. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you bench press. I don't care what kind of triathlons you've run.
Right.
Here's what's going to happen. Every man has their breaking point. I'm just trying to help men to find that, to know what to recognize, to know what those signs are, so they can break down in a healthy environment, in a safe environment that's not going to negatively impact their children, their family, or any false allegations that they have. And then on top of that, to say, look, these people are trying to destroy you. So once all this is said and done, if there's a possibility of suing these people into the Stone Ages, let's do that too. Because fuck them, that's why.
Very good. All right, so that's as good an introduction as one could ask for. Obviously, DDJ has given us all sort of an inside look as to why he is now a part of the Redman group. He's going to be a permanent fixture here. Let's get into today's topic, guys. A little bit more. Actually, I don't want to say this is a little bit more lighthearted, but a lot of this can sort of tie into what you were talking about, is why you should never get back with your ex-girlfriend. And I'm going to open up the phone lines here in about 45 minutes. So if you guys have horror stories, oh my God, I got back with my ex-girlfriend, she destroyed my life twice, we are here for the drama. Now, a huge mistake that every man makes at least once in his life is getting back with an ex. Now, the thing is that most men, we know it's a bad idea, even men who are not red pill aware. But for whatever reason, we can't help ourselves. Maybe it's the way she looks. Maybe it's the scarcity mentality. Maybe it's, and let's just keep it all the way real, maybe it's the sex, right? We find out she cheated on us. She's out there, sleeping with a bunch of guys, and we're not really sleeping with a bunch of girls. So we start to get that scarcity mentality, our how can I put this? Our territorial instinct kicks in. Now, your territorial instinct should never kick in for sluts, but, being raised in the environment that we're raised in, that's just kind of how things are. Anyway, now here's the thing. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not going to sit here and to pretend to have absolutely no clue as to why men routinely take back their ex-girlfriends. Listen, if a man loves a woman, it's never easy for him to let her go, no matter how badly she has wronged him. It's very easy for guys like myself, Steve, DDJ, to say, well, if she cheated on you, go ahead and leave her. That is the obvious solution, but we're divorced from those feelings, right? And so we need to understand that when there are feelings involved, the chemistry does change. All of that said, that needs to be done. By the same token, if more men had red pill awareness, they wouldn't continue to make this mistake over and over again. But that's not the end all be all. The hard truth, gentlemen, is that red pill awareness or not, it's never easy to refrain from getting back with an ex-girlfriend. Again, especially if you loved her, the sex was great, et cetera, et cetera. But if a man knows beyond the shadow of a doubt that making the egregious mistake that taking back an ex-girlfriend will most assuredly lead him down a path worse than the one he walked down before, he's far more likely to make the right decision and tell her just to fuck off for good. Again, easier said than done, but like most things in life, it still has to be done. And a lot of times, especially with women, your very life depends upon it. Now, I want you to understand that this isn't going to be some sort of deep psychological analysis. Listen, I'm not smart enough to engage in these kinds of mental gymnastics. This is going to be a common sense, no bullshit, red pill approach as to why it is never a good idea to make a woman who was once your main chick again. So I'm going to get both of you guys's takes on this. I've got a few reasons why you should never get back with an ex-girlfriend. And Steve, I'm going to start with you on this one. The first reason that I can point out that you should never get back with an ex, she's been ran through, right? She's been fucked by, 20 different guys. The famous saying says, listen, if you love her, let her go. If she comes back, she's yours. No, the red pill version is if you love her, let her go. If she comes back, she's been banged by 50 guys. Trust and believe. Hey, quiet down. Trust and believe, gentlemen, that when you end things with her, regardless of who does the breaking up, whether it's you or her, she is going to start fucking dudes by the truckload. All girls do this. Okay. Matt Forney once wrote an article called "All Girls Have Sex Within 24 Hours of the Breakup." It's 100% true. Girls also have a saying when it comes to breakups, and I'm sure you guys have heard this before. To get over him, you have to get under him. In other words, fuck as many guys and take as much semen in your uterus that your uterus can handle to get over your ex quickly. But Donovan, what if it's only been a week? Guys, if it's been a week, she's fucked at least 5 guys. This is just what girls do, guys, and it ain't changing. As soon as you go your separate ways, dude, she will be on her knees in front of somebody's dick within a few hours. Getting back with an ex-girlfriend, even after a short period of time, this means that you're going to be likely kissing at least a dozen dudes when you lock lips with her for the first time in your reunion. Steve, what's your take on that?
Well, I always come from a mindset perspective on all this. And when you get back with your ex, it kind of tells her a lot about you and how you feel about yourself. Because for some of a lot of these guys out there, they always allow women to disrespect them, women to walk all over them through the relationship. And like you said, because these guys never have set themselves in a situation to have options, what happens is that they get lonely. Now, the difference between her and him is that she may get lonely, but like you said, Donovan, she's already got a bunch of guys already there for her. You know what I mean?
Right.
So her loneliness is fulfilled with dick. I mean, she can just easily go and see that guy, that quote unquote guy friend who was hanging around, or that guy friend that she had for a long period of time. So she can get her fix and keep her emotions at bay, where most guys, they are just like one women guys, and they can't really make that adjustment to keeping we always say in the man mindset, keep your eyes forward, walk forward. You never look back because you're not going that way. So we try to push that narrative to these guys. And I know it's and again, this is not a thing of just saying just walk away from her, because a lot of guys can't walk away from relationships like that. That's why they go back, because they feel like they lost something. They feel like without her, their life has no meaning, type kind of stuff. So then they feel like, you know what, I'm gonna go back to the disrespectful behavior. But what happens when you go back, she didn't respect you during the relationship. She's not even gonna respect you even more. And to tag on to what you were saying real quick is, even if you get back with her, that still doesn't mean she's not gonna keep fucking the same guys that she was fucking when you left.
Right.
So
DDJ, what's your take on one of the reasons why you don't take back an ex-girlfriend is because she's been ran through. She's been banging dudes.
All right. So I kind of took a couple notes here, and what this is going to sound like, it's a little bit of a soapbox, but let me kind of talk about some of the things there, and then I'll address that question specifically. And honestly, the question might be answered in my soapbox.
Okay.
So here's the thing, right? Most men, especially blue pill men, they have what I like to refer to as the gynocentric blind spot.
Okay.
And what that means is that men will treat women with a level of deference based on what I like to refer to as multi-generational mentoring. I believe that all of us at some level, we're the product of the last 5 to 10 generations at some level, right?
Right.
So a lot of men today, when we talk about red pill wisdom, there's a lot of, guys that are virtue signaling chivalry and holding doors open for women. There's a big push to be Captain Save-A-Ho and get together with a single mom. And there's a lot of information that's out there that basically tries to pressure men into putting up with a woman's bullshit. And I don't necessarily, I'm not talking about like my way or the highway type of attitude with men. Right. What I'm talking about is that, in relationships, the only relationships that work are relationships where the woman and the man can complement each other and they have common ground where they can meet it. And it's an investment on both parties. So like, to kind of dig down the rabbit hole a little bit, to kind of go off of what I was saying, whenever I talk to a woman, I always ask her, what do you bring to the table? And she's like, what? And she looks good and everything else. And she's done her makeup and everything else. I'm like, what do you bring to the table? And most women can't answer that question. and they can't. They're like, well, shit, I did my makeup. God damn it. I look good. And I should be on your arm. You should be proud to just be with me. And I'm like, no, look, if you're not signing my paycheck, you're not giving me a grade, and you're not sucking my dick, your opinion doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, that's the piece of the gynocentric blind spot that most men miss. And I'll tell you that when it comes to a woman who you have emotional feelings for, when it comes to a woman that you care about and you absolutely love, I don't care how alpha you are. I don't care how red-pilled you are. You will have a gynocentric blind spot to that woman because you are emotionally connected to her. And those emotions, they will fuck you up all day, every day. And especially during this whole breakup period, when you go for that, you feel that sense of loss. It's a grieving. Now, that dovetails into the next thing that I wanted to address, which I like to refer to as the red pill blind spot. And you hit this on the head just a few minutes ago when you said that there's emotions and feelings involved. There are a lot of content creators on YouTube, and there are a lot of people who talk about, masculinity and male nature and red pill wisdom. One of the things they don't talk about is that men have emotions too, that men are living, feeling creatures, and that, we deserve respect, and we deserve to be, to have our emotional needs met for as well, in addition to our sexual needs. But I think this idea that, when the breakup happens, so I always tell people, look, I said, let's say a person, man A and woman A, they break up. The relationship doesn't stop at the breakup. The relationship stops when the investment stops. And that's the thing. Like you talk to any guy, and anybody listening to this stream, here's the reality. When you break up with a woman and then when you finally get over her, you finally get over that emotional piece, you can look back and go, okay, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, she quit investing in the relationship. And now I know that that's when the relationship ends. See, a lot of people don't understand that. That's why I always tell people, and I told my ex-wife, my second ex-wife, the same thing. I said, look, I will love you as long as you bring value to my life. The second
that you God, don't, hey, that sounds like conditional love to me.
Oh yeah, there it is. But that's how women love, right?
Right. Of course.
But that's my point. So when the investment stops, she's already fucking.
Yep.
She's already there. I mean, it doesn't matter. Again, doesn't matter how. And I always tell people this too. It doesn't matter how alpha you are. It doesn't matter what your situation is. Let me tell you something. Brad Pitt voted the sexiest man alive, got cheated on. Johnny Depp voted the sexiest man alive, got cheated on. And both these men are worth like $400 million. So it's not about your money. It's not about how alpha you are. It's not about, whether or not you're a supermodel. If it can happen to them, it can happen to you. Right. And the reality is, if Adam couldn't keep his bitch in check when it came to Eve, how can you? Right. So you have to know. You have to know what the reality of the situation is. And with promiscuity culture, the thing is that before you leave, and I always tell guys this too, if you're in a relationship with somebody, there are 3 guys that she knows right now that are so thirsty they will fuck her as long as she said yes. And the same thing is true with guys. You just got to figure out who those 3 women are. But beyond that, we have such a promiscuity culture that when a woman violates her relationship, when a woman goes out of the way and she quits investing, that's when the arguments start. Right. Because I'll tell you, a lot of guys who are not used to it, and this is the hilarious part, they're not used to it. They're like, God damn, she started arguing and bitching with me all the time. She started blaming me for everything and everything. And no, what she's doing is that she's emotionally fucked up. Her investment is stopped because she got it all twisted because some other guy's giving her attention and she likes it. And so she's projecting, and in some cases she's gaslighting you, because what she's trying to do is she's trying to emotionally justify to herself sucking this other guy's dick so that she doesn't feel like a hoe. That's the reality. Okay. That's the red pill wisdom for a day. And I will also say this, I don't forgive anybody. And for me, what I mean by that is this: you want forgiveness, you go fucking talk to God. The best I can do is set the appointment. But at the end of the day, is that when you're having these conversations with these women, they're like, well, he doesn't forgive. And no, I don't forgive, because I'll tell you what, if you acted right, there'd be no reason to. That's what mutual investment's all about. So you never take a woman back. In fact, I don't ever even fucking talk to them. I'm like, pop, smoke, and go. Because here's what'll happen. You get these guys, and I see this all the time. You see these guys, they're alpha guys, they're red pill guys. They're like, well, I'm still friends with her. I'm still this with her. Yeah, because she's still using you. And what she's using you for, she's using you because she's a dinner hoe. She's using you as an emotional tampon. She's using you to fucking sit and listen to her. And you're so fucking thirsty, you're willing to spend 10, 15, 20, 100 hours listening to her, hoping you're going to get your dick wet. and you'll masturbate over her 100 fucking times and not get anywhere. So either the reality is that when you have this situation where there's this woman and you see, and again, you see these guys, whenever you see these guys who are like, I'm still friends with my ex, it's either A, because they're fucking, or B, because the guy's an emotional tampon. And sometimes it's both. So I say, look, you never bring him back. You don't talk to him anymore. You break off the communication, because here's the other thing. She's going to use your emotional investment in her because you had feelings for her one time. She's going to use it for her self-esteem so that she looks good to fuck somebody else. Here's another secret that a lot of guys don't know. When a woman gets laid and she orgasms, and I mean, like she gets dick down, right? I mean, like for real, like I got to go to the chiropractor, dick down, right? The endorphins she gives off are attractive to a man. Women instinctually know this. So if there's a man who is in love with her, and there is a man who cares for her, and there's a man who is willing to be the basically the cuck dick, right? The stunt dick. They go in and do that. She uses that. She'll go and she'll fuck that guy. She'll feel better about herself. And then she'll use that to monkey branch to another dude. Yep. Now, Paul Proteus calls this, when he has a video long time ago. Paul Proteus is an ex-YouTuber. I have a lot of respect for him. He says hypergamy floats. And what that means is that anytime a woman stabilizes in her situation, now she's going to jump to the next one. So, you see these guys, like I have a guy right now who's a buddy of mine. He's worth 10 digits, and he paid for this woman to go to college. He paid for her law school. He paid for everything. And she left him because he doesn't have a postgraduate degree. And this guy's worth, just shy of $100 million. And he's not an ugly man. He's a considerate man. He's a good father. He's doing his thing. But she was like, well, I'm an attorney now, so I deserve better. That's hypergamy floats. Women are never satisfied in the long term. And once you understand that, and once you learn the tools to basically say, look, I'm only going to tolerate a certain set of behaviors. This is the box you live in. This is the box I live in. And if you can't be there, then go play hide and go fuck yourself. I got shit to do. Because at the end of the day, we live in a society now where in the United States, I think it's like 45% of our population, our adult population, is male, 55% is women. Okay. It's cash and release all day, every day, including in the rain. So, and women, like you said, women will get dicked down by 12 guys in the week that you're apart. So you need to understand that once you identify who those women are, once you get the breakup on, tell you what, bring a Jimmy and make it a threesome. Be safe and do what you got to do, but get your needs fulfilled, because I'll tell you what, she ain't doing it.
Nope, never. Big thanks goes out to Rodrigo Castillo with the $10 super chat. He says, quote, there is a meme on Instagram saying if your girl cheated on you, it's because you lacked or did something wrong. Get back with her and fix it, since you weren't man enough to meet her needs.
Puff, puff, pass.
Right, dude. I mean, listen, Steve, what are your thoughts on that? If your girl cheats on you, it's because of something you did. Whereas if we cheat on women, they're always like, oh, men are dogs, men are this, men are that. This is classic blame shifting behavior by women. It's okay for us to do it, but it's not okay for you to do it. What are your thoughts on that, Steve?
Well, again, you know me, I'm all about accountability, dog, at the end of the day. So I'm gonna take this on one side of the spectrum as far as I won't say that's necessarily a lie, but it's not necessarily not a lie, because at the end of the day, what a lot of guys do is they lie to themselves.
Yes.
Again, like I say, at the end of the day, man, your car, your job, and all the other stuff you have doesn't make you a goddamn man. I think that's a problem a lot of guys do. They want to live off of what they create, but not who they are. And once a woman sees that you are weak, when she notices through your behaviors that you are soft, that you have no spine, that she's not going to respect you. That's just how it is. So technically, she's going to shit test you to see what she can get away with. But if you're constantly apologizing and you're constantly compromising and all that other stuff, then of course she's not going to respect you, and of course she's not going to want to be with you. But let me see, the guy that said I'm reading the thing he said again. The reason she cheated on you was not because again, there are some other lacking things. A lot of you guys are terrible in bed. A lot of you guys don't know how to talk to a woman to turn her on. A lot of you guys have no idea what sex is. Y'all are on a basic level, but it's not to blame you guys. It's to get you to open your eyes that sometimes that she's going to weigh options out. If she's got Joe Blow who has no confidence, he allows her to walk all over him. He's terrible in the bedroom. And then she's got a Donovan Sharp that's smoother than the other side of the pillow, knows what he wants and can smash. What do you think she's going to go to, guys? But the thing is, for a lot of you guys, is we got to stop pointing the finger at. See, the thing about women is women blame. Women are catty.
There you
go. Gossip. Women do all that feminine, emotional shit. Men don't do that shit, and that's the problem here. The problem is that you got to take a look at you. You got to see, and again, she's going to do what she wants to do, but she's going to pick her best option. And if you're not the best option, you got to realize, what do I need to do to fix me? Not for her, but what do I need to do to fix me for me? Donovan?
Listen, man, I agree with you, Steve. I agree with the first part of that meme. If your girl cheated on you, it's because of something you lack or something you did wrong. That's only partially true. Just like DDJ said, man, women are going to cheat regardless. And you can have all the game. Well, I'll put it to you this way. Game trumps money and it trumps looks, right? Brad Pitt, good looking, rich, he's been cheated on. Johnny Depp, good looking, rich, he's been cheated on.
Well, and can I interject here real quick?
Go ahead.
That is the absolute truth.
Yes.
Okay. If you got game and you're riding the bus, you're going to get laid over the guy in the Lexus.
Straight up.
Okay. And I say this from personal experience. Okay. So, when you see this, I mean, that's the reality. And the other thing is, I would say is that, there's a common knowledge now in promiscuity culture that if it flies, if it fucks, or if it floats, it's better to rent, not to buy. So, and the reality is it's like I'm sorry, is Steve? Yeah, it's like what Steve said. Steve's like, there's an issue with you. There's an issue in your game, in your situation. Absolutely. Because the more that you're confident in yourself, the more that woman will be there. But like Donovan said, she will cheat on you. Women do that occasionally. You just have to be able to recognize the signs to know that that's why I tell guys, I'm like, look, don't worry about the infidelity. Don't worry about the cheating or whatever. If she's lying to you, she's done. Because she's not lying to you because it's Tuesday. She's lying to you because she's trying to cover some shit up.
Right.
So you need to start weighing your options just like she's weighing her options. So you can go, okay, well, boom, I'm done with you. Go do what you got to do.
Yeah, listen, game trumps all, guys. He said it perfectly. Dudes, and it's so funny. Guys talk out of both sides of their mouth. They say, well, you need money and looks to get the girls. Then they turn around and say, well, why are all of these broke dudes getting all the girls? So which is it, right? These are guys that are the game detractors. That's what this comes down to. And going back to what DDJ said, I wanted to get Steve's take on this, on these dinner hoes that you talked about a little bit earlier. There are women out there. There are women out there, Steve. And I think that this is probably most American women. Most American women think that their very presence puts you in debt just by them showing up. So by them showing up and gracing you with their presence, that you are now indebted to them as a result of them just being there. This is why girls have no problem being dinner hosts. Well, I showed up and I look good, so he owes me something. Steve, what are your thoughts on girls who think you owe them something just for showing up?
Well, I always say all I owe you is dick and bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum. So I don't owe you a goddamn thing. But that's the thing. See, that's what we got to keep pushing to have options, because when you have options, you don't have to fall in what society tells you to do, because society says you meet a boy meets girl, boy has to take girl out. Boy's got to walk on eggshells and kiss her ass and take her where she wants to go. Then when boy doesn't get girl, you got to rinse and repeat all over again. And that's not the truth here. The thing is, guys, is once you realize who you are and what you are about, you don't have to take these women out. That's why that's why I always tell guys, coffee, ice cream, or a loaf of bread, and we're going to feed the ducks. That is all you get from me. You don't get a dinner because you haven't slayed the Minotaur and put it on the top of Mount Kilimanjaro to show me your worth, that you can even get my time.
That's right.
And I hear that, guys. I didn't say dinner. I said my time. You got to do so many things to even get a dinner from me. And that's the thing that guys need to understand in all this. women out here, they running this game, guys. Get y'all crayons out. This is what they're doing now on the internet. They're doing it on Instagram and they're doing it on Facebook. What they'll do is they'll post a photo of themselves, Donovan, a sexy photo of themselves showing their body. And underneath it, you know how it goes: sexy, beautiful, cute, gorgeous, sexy, beautiful, have baby, and all this other stuff. So what these guys do is on the back end, they're sending dick pictures and they're friending her, because see, what y'all guys understand is a lot of y'all guys hold your private information only to who? Friends. So she doesn't know what you do for a living yet because you're locked in privately. But you're so busy looking at the bait, you're not looking at the hook that's attached to the bait. So what happens is you friend her. Okay, you just saw the gingerbread house. You just took a bite and now you inside. And now she can determine what guy is going to buy her jewelry, what guy is going to drive her around, what guy is going to pay her rent, and what guy is going to take her to dinner. And here's the beautiful thing, Donovan, without her fucking him at all.
Say what?
Without her fucking him at all. That's why I tell you guys, this is why I beg you guys to learn how to be more assertive, because a woman will follow an assertive man.
Yes.
But when she realizes, and like I always say, Donovan, fool's gold. If they're back in the olden days, they used to grab gold and they used to bite it.
Yep.
Make see if it was the real deal or if it was fool's gold. And if it's fool's gold, that means, yes, you're going to have to roll fruit at her feet. You're going to have to chop down a tree and build her a pedestal. You're going to have to kiss her ass and run behind her if she realizes that you're not the real deal.
Right.
But when you are the real deal, then this is the crazy thing real quick, Donovan. What y'all understand is these women don't even want dinners with real men. They don't care about going to dinner with you.
Nope.
They want to just spend time with you because you are so far out of the box. They're trying to figure out what the fuck you are. So when it comes to dinners and all that stuff, yes, they demand dinners from guys who are not strong in themselves. But I've never had nobody bring that shit up to me. You ain't bringing that shit up to me. You only, like I say, all I got is dick and bubble gum.
Well,
I'm all out of bubble gum.
Yeah, and then that's why I always say too that, like, look, if she ain't signing your paycheck and she ain't giving you a grade and she ain't sucking your dick, her opinion doesn't matter. Because I mean, Steve hit it right on the head, right? He's like, look, it's not what they look like, it's not what they demand, it's what they do. So again, and I always tell guys this. I said, look, if you're in a relationship and you ain't fucking, that's not a marriage, that's not a romantic relationship, that's a friendship.
Right.
So you got shit to do, right? And the reality is, if she's not fucking you, she's fucking somebody else.
That's right.
And so when you look at this and you look at that thing, and Steve kind of hit this on the head, and I'm going to say it a little bit differently, but men don't know their value. So what these women will do is they will love bomb you early in the beginning. They will dig into you. They will, amp your ego and everything else. And then when they realize that you're confident in yourself, then they start fucking pulling back. That's when the gaslighting starts. That's when the insecurity bullshit happens. That's when they can never take responsibility and all the other bullshit. Because once they realize that you figured out that you have options, they got to knock that shit down.
Yep.
They got to destroy any other competition that's out there. That's why, like, if you have a female friend, they don't want you to have your female friend, or they start losing their shit. So I think that at the end of the day, you have to know, as a man, you have to know your value. You have to know what your options are, and you have to always have options. And that's why I tell people too, I say, look, trust, but verify.
Yep.
Once you know your options, once you know your value, then you don't have to waste your time. And like Steve said, that time is important. But for those that don't get it, the reason time is the most important thing in a man's life is because time is a non-renewable resource.
Right.
You never waste your time on a hoe that's not going to put out, or a hoe that's going to take care of you. And then when she stops taking care of you, pop, smoke, and ghost.
That's it. Just to piggyback off of something that DDJ just said, we have higher value than women inherently. Women know that we have higher value than them. Unfortunately, women know that most men don't know their own value. This is why they love bomb you in the beginning. They do these things, what I like to call passwords, right? They do and they say things that bypass, I don't want to call it your red pill conditioning, because if you're aware of it, a lot of times you can skirt these things, but when women say things like, I've never felt this way before. My password used to be, I feel safe with you because I'm a big guy and I can fight. I want to have children with you. I want to grow old with you. You're the biggest dick I've ever taken. Nobody fucks me like you do. I mean, listen, this is exactly what they do to get their hooks in you. Not only this, they know that they can't pull this. Well, as far as awareness is concerned, this is the reason why they have 27, 28, 29-year-old men on shows like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. Okay. As far as The Bachelorette is concerned, they don't have men in their mid to late 30s because high value men in their mid to late 30s, they understand their value and they're not going to subject themselves to some sort of a gladiator TV show, trying to win the affections of some 24-year-old slut who's banged 2,400 guys already. They save that for the 26, 27, 28-year-old guys who are on the cusp of understanding what their true value is, but they don't really know what it is quite yet. Good observation. Very, very good observation there by the both of you guys. Let me go into another reason why you should never take back your ex after a breakup. And this one's pretty obvious. There's a better woman out there for you, okay? If you dumped her, you did it for a reason. Maybe she got fat. Maybe she cheated on you. Maybe you lost interest. Maybe she wasn't upholding her end of the bargain. Whatever the case may be, there is no need in getting back with her because you're horny and your pipeline happens to be dry. Now, if she dumped you, then there's a better woman out there for you. And the reason why we know this is because when a woman actually breaks up with you, like DDJ said, she is definitely fucking somebody else, okay? Women are notorious for monkey branching. And if you think you're that special one and that she would never do it to you, guys, think again. She's never going to tell you. Women are non-confrontational in this regard. She's never going to tell you, Donovan, I think we should break up. Right? The only if a woman ever gets enough balls or enough, if she's ever woman enough to tell you straight up, we need to break up, she's been fucking her boss for the last 3 months, guys. That's how this works. So whether she dumped you or you dumped her, there's no need to eat leftovers. Dude, Rolo says this all the time. Don't go rooting around for trash. Don't go rooting around and pass trash for trash. Move on and find a better girl. Steve, what are your thoughts? What's your answer to this? There's a better woman out there for you. And why don't men realize this and get back with their ex?
Well, again, to me, it goes back to the man himself and the value he places on himself. A lot of guys out there believe that sometimes they're just not good enough. And what they do, unfortunately, is they beat themselves up. They blame themselves for her fucking whorishness, or they just come up with a million reasons and a million excuses because they have no solid foundation. Unfortunately, a lot of these guys have a foundation that's built off of water, sand, wood, and whatever the big bad wolf blew down. Hey, I mean, it's just a soft foundation. And a lot of guys don't believe that they're good enough to get more women, or they're good enough, because I always tell guys, snap your fingers, just snap them. And that noise means there's an 18-year-old that just turned 19. And there's a 20 that just turned 21. They're out there. You just got to get beyond the hurt and the pain, because I'm no one saying it's going to be breaking up as an easy thing to do. Right. It's not an easy thing, but there is always that light at the end of the tunnel. And this is not to make y'all, this is not a feel-good chicken soup for the soul moment. This is the truth, guys.
You're not going to make me feel better, Steve?
I'm trying not to, but I'll give you some Neosporin.
All right,
yeah, no doubt, dog. But what I'm saying to you guys out there is that you guys have to learn that you are a man that can get women, and you have options. And it's not just thinking it. It's your behaviors must line up with what you're thinking. But it's very hard, Donovan, and it's very tough to see what we're saying, because a lot of guys are just one women kind of guys. They will just go from one woman to the next woman, and sometimes they don't break. They'll just find somebody else to fill in the void. Then they'll make that person their girlfriend, and then they have the problems. But the last thing I want to say is, for a lot of guys, what they don't understand is the breakup doesn't happen when she breaks up with you guys. The breakup happens in somewhere along your relationship where she realizes that she's got better options. You don't realize you got options. And like I always say, I always take it back to the job. And yes, guys, in some occasions, a job will hire somebody back to the company. But the majority of the time, when you're fired from a job, when you're really not doing what you're supposed to do, they're not asking you to come back. They're going to get the security guard. They're going to give you a box, pack your shit up, and get the fuck out. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. So what I'm just trying to say for you guys is this: when it comes to breaking up, is that it's a very hard thing to do, but you have to realize the breakup is not when she says it's over. There is a combination of things that are happening along the way that either you choose not to see or that you're too blind to see.
Ooh.
That are showing you where this thing is heading, Donovan.
DDJ, what are your thoughts on this? Why is it that most men, when they break up with a woman or they dump a woman, why don't they understand that there is a better woman out there for them?
I think, well, first and foremost, let me just say this. For those people who are, I'm going to be kind of an outlier here.
Okay.
I'm a man going his own way. So, but I think that the biggest mistake that a lot of these men make when they don't realize that, obviously part of that has to do with the emotional connection. I went through this. I mean, a lot of people they're like, well, yeah, you were married, you were divorced twice and everything else. Let me tell you something. I went through all that pain. I broke down, I did the tears, I fucking cried in my beer. I did all the bullshit, right?
Right.
So like, I'm no better than anybody else. And I freely admit that. But I think that one of the main issues that I see is that when it comes to a lot of these men, they don't know how to be alone. They can't be, and I don't mean alone is alone. I mean like solitary, right? Yep. Every man needs to have time to himself, to collect his thoughts, to check his lane, to check his goals in life, and to make sure that he's on the path that he needs to be on. And a woman can't be a part of that. And I'm not saying that you can't do this in the context of a relationship if you can get that space away and do your thing. But what I am saying is that, look, the reason that the marriages that work out there, the reason those marriages work is because that woman has things she brings to the table from a part of her life that he's not a part of. That right. Man has things in his relationship that he brings to the table that she's not a part of. So back in the day, before second wave feminism, men would go hunting, and it would be, the grandfather and the uncle and the father and the kids and the cousins and shit. And they would all go hunting as a family, and they would spend that time teaching that multi-generational wisdom. And we see this in the military, where a lot of military guys will mentor younger men. And the women used to have separate, women's groups and things that they did where they had that particular mentorship. And so, and like Steve said, and like I reiterated earlier, the relationship is over when the investment stops. It's not when you break up, right? And a lot of these men, they can't be alone. They don't believe in themselves. They don't have that self-confidence to know what it's like to go alone. And like what you guys said before about this idea of, your identity is not your money. Your identity is not your external validation. It's not how many friends you have. It's not, you know what it is? The way you find your identity is when everything goes wrong.
Right.
When the storm is raging, when the tornado is raging, it's the strength of character that you bring to the problem to be able to overcome it. And every man, one of the mistakes that a lot of men have, especially in modern times, we don't have that multi-generational mentorship to say, look, get up, run some dirt on it, and move on with your day. There's a lot of men out there who they can't change a tire. They can't swing a hammer. They can't do any kind of physical labor. And I've known CEOs. I've known guys who they sit in a boardroom and they're CEOs. And you know what I've noticed about every successful CEO? They work with their hands.
Yes.
They're carpenters. They're finished cabinet makers. They do their own upgrades on their house. They have plenty of money to hire somebody else to do it, but they understand the value of physical labor at some level. And that's the thing is, until men understand that they have to have a sense of self-reliance, they have to have this idea where they can be alone and that's okay, and that they can have self-confidence regardless, no one can take that from you. It doesn't matter if you get laid off from your job. It doesn't matter if the economy turns or your house gets foreclosed on or what your situation is, as long as you understand who you are inside. Because I'll tell you, you look at Donald Trump. Donald Trump's a great example. This man filed bankruptcy 5 separate times.
That's right.
And he's still a billionaire. It's not about how much success you have when everything is going great. It's how you recover from trauma. It's how you stand back up. It's how you stand and deliver. And again, when you know you have value, women will throw themselves at you. And I tell people, I'm like, you know, I'm almost 50 and I'm not in perfect shape or anything like that. I'm not the biggest guy. I'm just like some random dude. I have women who talk to me all the time.
There you
You
go.
know, when I go out and about, and I live a semi-hermetic life because I'm kind of doing that little MGTOW thing, I still have women who talk to me. So as far as like finding a better woman, my whole thing is this. I think that, and again, this is where I'm going to be a bit of an outlier. I know I kind of pontificated a little bit. I apologize for that.
No, please.
But yeah, but my whole thing is this. I mean, the social contract between men and women is dead. Now, there are women out there who, you know, they're the exceptions to the rule. But the reality is that those women are particularly hard to find. So when people say, is there a better woman out there? Yeah, there is, at the very least for the weekend. Because you know what I'm saying? I mean, because you know, because I'll tell you what, there's nothing more enjoyable than having a woman love bomb you and fuck you like you should be fucked.
That's right.
Okay, so you could, you know, and every woman, when she sees a man of value, will do it. And it doesn't matter if she's married. It doesn't matter if she's whatever her circumstance. Doesn't matter what she says or what she virtue signals. Every woman is a slut if you catch her on the right day. So, you know, is there a better woman out there? Well, for me, no. For other men, yeah, maybe. I don't think MGTOW's for everybody. I don't think that like I should sit here and knock on everybody's door and go, hey, have you heard about the, you know, the joys of MGTOW? No, fuck you. Go do what you're going to do, right? It's every man's choice for himself. But the reality is that a lot of people think that guys go in their own way. They think, oh, you're not fucking with women at all. Well, yeah, there's a cost benefit analysis there. But I know a lot of guys who live that lifestyle who still have sex with women. They're not necessarily PUAs, but they still have sex with women. They still maintain short-term relationships. They still, you know, they need their needs met, right? So all I'm saying is that, yeah, if a woman cheats on you or the relationship is over, there's always a better woman out there at the very least for the weekend. And then if you know that like she's love bombing you, but you know that she's not worthy of the long-term commitment, listen, rock that love bomb until it ends. And then right at the cusp, and look for the end, right? And regardless of how great the orgasms are, regardless of how much she swallows you, look for the end. And then right when that fucking end time comes, pop, smoke, and ghost.
Well said. I want to go back to something that you said earlier. And I want to get Steve's take on this before we go to the show reset. Having a life separate from your wife, your significant other, your girlfriend, whatnot, these are where the most successful relationships thrive, is when a man has a life, a hobby, a calling, a project separate from his significant other. You have to have your solitude, because if you don't get just a few hours a day by yourself without your wife or girlfriend nagging you about this or that or the other, dude, you're going to go crazy. Listen, I care for Devin very much. We live together. But if I couldn't get my few hours a day to just kind of recharge my batteries, I'd throw myself out of a fucking window, right? Listen, she's a good woman, but she's also a woman. I got to have that alone time. Steve, you've been married for over 20 years. How important is it for men to create a life outside of their relationship with their wives or significant others?
Well, even before I got out the game, I always had a life, man. I always, you know, I'm a big kid, play video games, watch wrestling, watch football, watch sports, go outside and play ball with my boys. I mean, I just had a life. Why? Because my life is, see, the thing is, for a lot of guys, they always center their lives around women. I center my life around myself and what I like to do and what makes me enjoy my time. You know, DDJ said it, you know, time is something that we can't get back. You know, you can't get that back. So I always go into making it about me. And that's why I try to tell guys also, you got to have a life before you even think about getting in a relationship, or the woman is going to become your life.
Right.
What happens for a lot of these guys is that they're so busy on these YouTubes learning all these tricks and gimmicks and all these other bullshit that they never take the time to learn themselves. So then they go into meeting a woman or getting in a relationship. How can you lead her when you don't even know yourself? And then by the time you try to show her that there's a different side of me, it's too late then. She's gone. So the thing is, guys, you got to have hobbies. You've got to have fun. Push all these women aside for a moment. Stop making it about these women. Stop cuddling, cupcaking, and bending over backwards for these women. Have a life, because when you have a life, then she's going to work hard to try to get in your view. because she's going to realize that you don't have the one thing that a lot of these weak guys have, and that's her attention. She doesn't have my attention yet because I'm busy doing my thing. Now, that means she's got to work to prove her value and worth to me, to force me to do what, Donovan? Adjust my time schedule. That means if I'm playing video games or I'm playing a Madden League or whatever I'm doing, playing Call of Duty, whatever with my boys, and she wants to come over, all right, you can come over. You can suck my dick while I play, and then we can go out and hang out. But what I'm not doing is I'm not putting down my joystick. I'm not putting down watching TV and watching the programs I like to do just because you're pouting or you're getting mad or you feel that we need to spend more time together. If you stop making it about the women and make it more about yourself, then your chances are going to be, I'm not saying it's going to be that, because this ain't a 30-minute episode of the Brady Bunch. I'm saying you're going down the right path because you're making it about you and not them. Donovan.
Gentlemen, you are watching the 69th episode of the Red Man Group. We are brought to you in part by Tactical Soap, which will increase your dick size by 2 inches every time you use it. If your results are too intense, please decrease use. If you do make it as a porn star, the Red Man Group reserves the right to 10% of your earnings on the set. Use safe sex.
But apparently they don't want 10% of your dick. So there's that.
Yeah, right. Well, you got to use Tactical Soap, right? We're going to open up the phone lines here in just a little bit. I want to go to another reason why you should never get back with your ex. And this is something that a lot of guys sort of get caught up in. And DDJ, you mentioned this earlier, the love bombing. A lot of guys like to call that the honeymoon period. Okay. That's another reason you should never get back with your ex, because there is no honeymoon period the second time.
Well, yeah, and let me kind of address that a little bit. There's a difference between the honeymoon period and love bombing.
Oh, really? Okay, explain.
All right, so a lot of women, I like to refer to them as cluster B, cluster fucks, and that's something that Grizzly MGTOW coined that I stole from him. The idea of a cluster B, cluster fuck is if a woman is she bipolar, if she has borderline personality disorder, if she's got daddy issues, if she's got drug and alcohol issues, one of the common symptoms of those things is promiscuity.
Right.
And so a lot of these women are hyper promiscuous, especially if these women come from a broken home or they come from a home where they've been estranged from their parents or their family. And, so the idea is, obviously they have their high notch count, their high partnership, and they know what's going on. And at some level, they're kind of sociopathic in that they for short periods of time, they throw all their love at you. And I mean, completely and all of it. Now that's different than a woman when you're going through the honeymoon phase. So when you go through the honeymoon phase, yeah, the sex is great, everything is great, that kind of thing. But with the love bombing phase, they go way over the top. They're doing everything in their power to interest you, to bring you into their orbit, to take you out of your frame, and more importantly, to replace your environment with their environment. So once they have the context where they are in complete control, then they stop the love bombing, and that's when the massive shit tests happen. Now, typically, most women who do this, who are cluster B, cluster fucks, most of the women who do this is usually a 3 to 6 month process. However, I have seen some cases, especially with older women, where you don't know it for 2 years. That's why I tell guys, I say, look, yeah, you really don't know a woman until you've been with her through all seasons twice. That's a minimum of 2 years. And let me tell you something else. Time reveals all truths. This is why when guys used to get married before feminism took over, a lot of these guys would court these women for 2 or 3 years. They wouldn't have these short-term relationships and go from there, because the reality is that if she's compartmentalizing, which is something else she does, and this is also another symptom of love bombing. So if she's love bombing you, but you don't know anything about her, you don't know about her family, you don't know about certain things, and she's only talking about certain subjects. Maybe she goes to festivals, or maybe she does some sort of socialization or something, but that's all she talks about, right?
We've all met those. We've all met those, right?
Yeah. That's how you can tell that this is not the honeymoon phase and the love bombing. See, the love bombing is like Jinx said, it's a narcissist tactic.
In 5 seconds.
Sorry about that.
4.
You're good.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, there we go. All right, go ahead. My bad.
No, you're good. So the idea though is that this idea with love bombing is she compartmentalizes you. In other words, she doesn't tell you about aspects of her life. She tries to take you out of your frame. She turns the sex on. And let me tell you something. The sex ends up getting ridiculous. You know, you're like, holy shit, I didn't realize I can orgasm 4 times in 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? So all of a sudden, like that's, I mean, and again, physically it's fantastic. But then once she pulls you into her orbit, once she does that, that's when the shit tests start. That's when everything else starts. And then you start finding out shit that you wish you knew before. So that's why it's important. Like a lot of these guys out there, that's why you don't live with this woman first. That's why you don't, you know, or at least for at least 18 months to 2 years, because if you ever have to separate with her, you want that clean separation. And you'll also notice another element of love bombing is the second that your friends start hanging out with you, the second that you start socializing with your friends, she starts the shit test. Or why is this person there? This person doesn't like me, blah, 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 because she needs you isolated. Her con doesn't work if you have a support group around you. So the con doesn't work. Now, the difference between that and a honeymoon phase is that in a honeymoon phase, you're going to meet the mom and the dad. You're going to meet the other members of the family. You're going to meet some of the people in her social circle. And she's not going to be protective of those people because she's not trying to compartmentalize that relationship. She's not trying to keep that stuff from you.
Right.
Now, if she pushes that shit onto you, especially if it's a child, that might be love bombing. Just a little.
Ooh, wow. I never even thought about the child element. Steve, let me ask you something. So given what DDJ has said about the love bombing, giving you the great sex, trying to become your world, what would you advise men to do to sort of maybe insulate yourself? Listen, just like DDJ said, listen, right until the wheels fall off, because it's going to come to an end at some point. But how should men fortify their defenses to not get sucked into a woman who is love bombing them, which is really another form of manipulation?
Well, that's what I always tell guys. As soon as you get into a relationship, you've got to set your standard, your laws, rules, and codes of what it is, what type relationship you're in. Problem is, like I said before, I've always said, is a lot of guys, they just go from meeting a woman to dating her to getting in a relationship and then moving her in without even setting any standards. And then when everything hits the fan, they either doing marriage counseling or watching Dr. Phil, wondering what's going on. The thing about a real, true, authentic man is that she's going to know where I stand when we first meet. She's going to know that I'm a drama-free man. She's going to know if she does anything that goes against what I don't believe in, well, I'm not going to just get rid of her like a job. I'm going to give her a warning because, of course, you know, she's going to shit test you.
Sure.
But if it keeps going up, you're gone. But but the beautiful thing about it is sometimes you don't have to say too much stuff when she realizes you have options. And that's the thing I keep trying to tell guys all the time. When you have options, she realizes it. Why? Because your behaviors are totally different than the man who doesn't have options. And for a lot of guys out there, your biggest mistake is y'all think these women are stupid. They are very smart. They may be naive, but they're not stupid. So they can smell weakness. They can smell the tricks and the gimmicks. They can smell the deception because they live in deception. So they can smell their own. So that's why I try to push to y'all guys to start having options. The more options you have, the different she's going to see you. And then she's going to realize that I am just one of many women. What can I do to be the first thing he thinks about in the morning other than these other women? Then in that way, you're fine. But for a lot of guys who just go from one woman to another or who can't get a woman at all, and they will accept anything that they have. You know, I'd rather have half a bitch than no woman at all type thinking. Then that's where the problems are going to come in at, Donovan.
DDJ, what's your advice to guys? Because it sounds to me like you have a lot of experience with women love bombing you. This could be a whole other episode, but how do you fortify your defenses? How do you obviously it's easy to recognize, but okay, you're like, oh my God, okay, I know this girl is love me, this sex is good. How do I not get got?
Well, I think really it's you don't become emotionally attached. So like a lot of guys, one of the things I learned early on, even before and this is like, you know, like I said, I'm coming up on 50. So this is probably, you know, my teens is this. There is a difference between I love you and wow, that orgasm was amazing. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And so like when one of the reasons why you have women with high notch counts who have a hard time forging relationships is because the more men a woman has been with, the harder it is for her to pair bond. This is common knowledge in red pill. It's been common knowledge in red pill manosphere.
Man, that's biology.
Yeah. It's biology, right? But the opposite is true for men. A man can have high notch count, and as long as he's not a sociopath or he's not lost himself in dark triad, he can still pair bond with a woman. So, but the number one thing is this: your orgasm is not your emotion. The way these women are able to get you when they love bomb you is they get you to emotionally connect with them through the orgasm. And they think that the more they get you to orgasm, the more that you emotionally connect with them. And for guys who don't have a lot of sexual experience, this is absolutely true. You know, when you're teenagers, right? When you're teenagers or when you're early 20s, if you're a late bloomer, you lose your virginity and you're with this woman and you absolutely love her. That's why they talk about the whole teen love thing, right?
Oh,
yeah, it's because so you're like, this is the greatest feeling you've ever felt. The endorphins are high. You know, you get more endorphins from orgasms with a woman than you do from masturbation. It's like 75% more. So this is a overwhelming chemical reaction. And a lot of guys confuse come with love. So the number one thing I remind guys to do is, look, if your orgasm is not love, and it's not love for her. She knows that what she's doing is sexual power. So that's number one. That's job one. I mean, like I said, if you're going to engage, that's job one. But job two is this: when you break down and you realize what she's doing and you understand this, you have to understand that when the relationship ends, you have to cut her off completely, because narcissists will always try to get you back in their environment. They have to use you. And that also brings me to my third point, which is, once narcissists realize that you understand they're a narcissist, they will try to destroy you.
Yes.
They will gaslight you, because the issue is this: they live and die on their credibility and their ability to ghost from one cock to the next, right? So they have to virtue signal. They have to be above suspicion and everything else. So one of the things I talk about in my channel, I said, do you know what the demographic is for a female child sex predator?
No, what is that?
The demographic, and this is confirmed by mainstream media.
Okay.
The demographic for a female child sex predator is a woman in her 20s to 40s who has children, who is happily married, who is a teacher.
Say what?
Okay.
That I did not know.
You look at it,
wow.
that is the thing. So you have to understand the reason I bring this up, and it's kind of a segue, but I'm going to tie it all together. Okay. The reason I bring this up is because these women, they're not necessarily the smartest women out there, but women are cunning in ways that men cannot be. And it's like what Steve said: women live in deception all day, every day. Okay. And I've been with women who their best friends didn't even know we were fucking, and they were lying to me and that they were married the whole time.
Wow.
So right. You know, married for 15 years and shit with kids, and they go to, and they're teaching fucking church with their husband, and they're fucking me 4 days a week. And I didn't know. So you have to understand that, like, when it comes to these women, they live in deception. They live in this idea that you have to be able to do it. So when they go to destroy you, that's why you have to ghost. So one of the things I always also tell men too in these short-term relationships, you never fuck them where you work, you never fuck them where you live, and you never fuck them where you go to school. Woo. Because when you shut down, when these love bombers shut you down, right, you have to get out of their environment completely. Because if you don't, they will I guarantee you, they will try to destroy you. That's when the false allegations come in. Yep. That's when the character assassination comes in. That's where the shaming and the bullshit comes in. And that's where they try to turn your friends into white knights against you. And they all do it. This is narcissist love bomb cluster B clusterfuck 101. So the idea here is that to fortify yourself, again, number one, orgasm does not equal love.
Yes.
Okay. That's number one. Number two, when she's trying to take you away from your friends, you got to include them more in your life. The second that you say, look, I accept you as you are, you need to accept me who I am, and you need to accept the fact that I have a life. If you want to be a part of that life, that's great, but I'm not going to give up my life to be with you. Sex is great, but that's what you got to say. And again, she will stay in her lane. Now, she's not going to give up, because narcissist cunts, what they try to do is they try to have what they can't have. Right. So she'll try some other bullshit first. So that's number two. And then number three, once you see the love bomb wane, ghost the fuck out, pop, smoke, and ghost, and maintain your lane. And then the other side of it is this: if she tries to shit test you and she tries to argue with you and she tries to do all these things and tries to wind you up, especially in front of other people.
Oh, yeah, I don't handle that well at all.
Get the fuck out now.
Yeah,
Don't wind up. Don't show any kind of emotion. Just be like, whatever. And if the bro fucking approaches you later, you'd be like, "Low, bro, I like you. I respect you. Stay in your fucking lane. It's healthier that way."
Yeah, wow. Well said. 914-205-5356. DDJ is kicking all kinds of ass on the podcast. Let's go to area code 425. You're on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Hey, you can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So I just have a question about, I'm really interested in your Eastern Europe 21 convention event. So I just had a question about that.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm assuming that's, okay, sweet. So most of the speakers are American, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, what do Americans have to teach men of Eastern Europe?
Can I answer that real
Yeah,
quick?
good.
All right, young man. All right, this is what you got to understand, and this is where a lot of guys go wrong, and for this last few weeks they're going wrong. Y'all are so busy trying to look at the messengers, you choose not to listen to the message. A man is all things, regardless if he's foreign or he's on the domestic side of the pond. You're looking at, well, what can these guys show me if they're American and I'm foreign? It's not about American. It's not about you being foreign. It's the message that you have to take, that you need to ingrain in yourself to learn about you. The first problem that a lot of you guys have is that you're so worried, or not you, caller, but I'm saying a lot of guys are always just so worried about the messenger, or they're worried about this person or why this person is doing this, that they don't look at the message. Women look at the message. They know, and they do their homework, and they do their reconnaissance. That's why when most guys go up to women, they're playing checkers, while these women are playing Star Trek chess, 3-level chess.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And the reason why is because it's the message that you've got to obtain, regardless if it's in Klingon, black, white, Spanish, English, or European. It doesn't matter the messenger, young man. It's the message that you are to receive, that you ingrain in yourself, that you take out into the Serengeti to be on top of things. So I'll throw it to Donovan in a second, but I just want to say to you, it's a great question you asked, but all I'm asking you to do is just take a step back and just don't look at the messengers. Look at the messages that they're trying to help you with to better your life. Donovan?
Yeah, this one's
Donovan, before you jump in there, I'd like to interject if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, caller, I think it's a valid question, and I think that Steve hit the nail on the head. But the other thing I'm going to say is this: in life, we're going to run across people who we will just connect with, we will communicate with, or they will say things a way that just inspires us. And then there are other people who are extremely wise, who we never connect with, either because of personality differences, or because of the way they communicate, or because of the demographic that they're part of. You know, fathers are always going to connect more with fathers. Single men at some level are going to connect more with single men, you know, as far as being able to have that knowledge and that wisdom. And so one of the things that I've noticed, and I don't have a lot of experience with the 21 convention per se, other than a little bit of research I did before I got sponsored to promote it. But what I do know is this: the 21 convention brings in people from all walks of life, from all demographics. It brings in people who are blue collar. It brings in people who are from the military. It brings in people who are, you know, in a professional sphere. It brings in people from all walks of life, all demographics, sharing their wisdom in their own words. And let's say you had 20 speakers, and I'm just using this as a hypothetical.
Sure.
Let's say you have 20 speakers, and 3 of those speakers have roughly the same message, but they say it in different terms, and they say it based on their demographic, their knowledge, and their experience. 2 of those speakers may connect with a couple of people and not connect with other, but that third speaker who reinforces, that's where you're going to have it. So like, I have a martial arts background, and you know, the key to mastery is repetition. And so having this information and having this knowledge out there is extremely important. And men with healthy levels of testosterone, whether they're in Poland or the United States or anything else, by their nature, they socially isolate. So being able to get that multi-generational mentorship, to be able to get that multi-demographic mentorship, and to be able to experience that knowledge in a forum such as the 21 convention, I think is extremely powerful. Because what it might do is one of the people might be sitting in the audience and go, oh, well, Donovan said something that my grandfather told me about that I had forgotten, but that's a piece of timeless wisdom. So I always tell people, I'm like, look, the human body is the human body, regardless of the country that you're in.
Yes.
And you break it down and you heal it in the same way. And that basic reality is true no matter what country, no matter what culture or anything. Like I said, I have a martial arts background, and I've been in 1 or 2 fights, and I've been out after dark. And I can tell you this: it doesn't matter whether the guy's a Krav Maga stylist, Wing Chun, or Thai boxing, jiu-jitsu. What matters is this: it's the skill level of the fighter, it's the fitness of the fighter, it's the strength of the fighter. And on top of that, there's a little bit of luck at the end of the day. I've seen guys who are highly skilled fighters get beaten up by the layman. And, and so you see a lot of things when you've been out after dark a little bit. But the point is this: the effective techniques never change. It's just every particular martial art has its own take on that technique. They have their own take on the punch. They have their own take on the kick and that kind of thing. The same thing is true with red pill manosphere wisdom. The same thing is true with healthy masculinity. These things transcend culture. They transcend communities. They transcend societies, because the reality is, at the end of the day, they're universal truths. That's why you see, even though I don't agree with PUAs, that's why you see these PUAs going to these different countries and giving field reports. They're just doing the same shit. They're just doing it in a different culture. Now, I don't agree. Like I said, I don't agree with PUAs, but but if it works, it works. It works. It works. It works. That's the reality. So when it comes to Poland, when it comes to Florida, when it comes to anywhere else, when it comes to the 21 convention, that wisdom, it transcends culture, it transcends country, it transcends east to west, because that's the thing about the truth is, you don't have to remember what it is you said, and it doesn't change regardless of whether or not somebody can perceive it.
Well said. And to piggyback off of what you just said, I always like to compare cars and computers to people and women, right? It doesn't like I could get into a car that I have never driven before and drive it perfectly on the street to Philadelphia. I could get on a Mac or a PC that I've never operated before and operate that thing like I've been operating it for 10 years. Okay. Now, the outward package might be a little bit different, right? Obviously, a Lamborghini is going to be different from a Toyota. Obviously, a PC is going to be different from a Mac, but they all work in generally the same way. And so the reason, what can we teach men in Eastern Europe about women? Well, guess what? All women are like that. They're like cars and computers. Yes, okay. So they have a little bit of a different package culturally. And maybe there are some, subtle difference in terms of the way they act and the way they speak, but they all use the same operating system. Listen, every woman's hardware is going to be different from woman to woman, but the hard drive, the software is all the same. And caller, you don't sound like you are in Eastern Europe. You said, why are they? Did I misunderstand that question?
Oh, can you still hear me?
I still can. Yes.
Sorry. Oh, okay. I would know. So
well, let me ask. Well, hold on. Answer my question.
No,
hold on. Hang on. Wait a minute. Answer my question. Are you in the United States or are you in Poland, or are you thinking about going to?
No, I'm in the U.S.
Okay.
So, no, my question was. Oh, can I? So my question was. I appreciate your responses, but masculinity and SMV are both contextual, right? So I'm a little confused as to how like Poland is. It's gonna like women are the same, but at the same time, they're attracted to different masculinities contextually. Like if you go into a bar, for example, like based on the bar, it's going to be different, right? If you go to
actually, I'd like to step in and respond to that. Yeah, I agree with you, caller, that women are attracted to different masculinities. But one of the reasons that I say that every woman's a slut if you catch her on the right day is because I've seen white supremacist women fuck black dudes.
Yep.
I'm Latino, and I've had women who hate Latinos fuck me. And you see, the context of masculinity is different. But again, when you catch the woman on the right day, the seduction thing is different, because women, again, hypergamy floats. And so, yeah, you're right. Maybe what constitutes masculinity has some nuanced differences in Poland than it might say in the UK, or it might in Canada or whatever. I mean, Jesus Christ, fucking Justin Trudeau passes as masculine for Canada. So, they're fucked. But my point is that at the end of the day, you know, what a woman is into, because hypergamy floats, isn't what she says. You know, like what other wise people I've spoken to have told me, you know, women use words like fucking magic spells. So what they tell you they're interested in, what they claim they're interested in, isn't always the case, you know, because I'll tell you what, a hard dicking down, regardless of who it comes from, will surpass culture. It will surpass racism. It will surpass everything else. So I agree with you at some level that that's the case. But at the end of the day, you know, hypergamy is hypergamy and red pill wisdom is red pill wisdom.
Yeah, DDJ, I think he knows that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I sensed a little bit of, I don't even know if this is a word, disingenuosity. I think he was more or less challenging us. Hey, if all women are like that, then why are you going to Poland? I don't think he was really interested in the question. I think he just wanted to joust, sort of go back and forth, maybe try to catch us off guard. I could be wrong, but I don't give a fuck. He's gone. Let's go to area code 757. You are on live with the Red Man Group, and you go ahead.
Hey, is this the Red Man Judas group where you guys delete comments?
Yeah, that's cute. I knew it. There's the first one of the day. And to him, I say,
oh man, hey,
yes, sir. Hey, guys, listen. If you want to troll, if you want to troll, call in and troll, man. Listen, we will take all phone calls. We'll take all takers. Blah 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 blah. And if you're gonna troll, at least be original with it. Hey, is this the Red Man Judas group? Guys, come on. You gotta make me.
Well, and more importantly, one of the common signs of blue pill bullshit is white knighting. Just saying.
Of course.
Well, Donovan, let me say something to the callers and those.
I love the trolls, but I hope we get a whole line of them.
This is, guys, for those young men out there that's really trying to understand manhood, this is a very important moment right here that you guys need to understand. Because the thing about feminine behavior is feminine behavior acts out emotional.
Mm-hmm.
They want to do everything they can. You think about the women that are trying to stop men from being men. And I keep telling y'all guys, sometimes women are not our greatest enemy. It's these males out here who act more like women than men. So what y'all guys have got to do, and when y'all hear these calls that we get, because they're going to come.
Yep. And by the way, I had one on the line, area code 908. He actually, there he is. There he is. Go ahead, finish up.
Okay, so what y'all guys need to hear is why these guys will never be able to have relationships with women, because they're so worried about the messengers. They're not wanting to listen to the message, but you can hear in their pain. They can joke and they're gonna joke and they're gonna do all the stuff they do, but when you peel back the layers, eventually they're gonna be somebody's bitch. They're gonna be one of us, guys like us, will be fucking their women one day, and they're gonna scratch their head and wonder why. Just listen to when they open their mouths, guys. I always do this, Donovan. Listen to the weakness, listen to the feminine that is coming out of them, and listen to the punk that's in them. Because that's what women do. Women are catty. So I just want y'all to be prepared, because if they're coming, let them come. But you will see that why they lose, because they're losers.
I got you. All right, area code 908. Let's take a shot at this. Here we go.
Hello?
Yep.
Yes. Well, it's actually afternoon in Paris. I'm calling from Paris. I'm Toby Fashiri, and actually I thought I should just ask this question because I'm actually going through certain points in my life where I think advice is from intellectual entities like you might actually help me out.
Right.
And this is regarding my previous relationship. So basically, I'm a Nigerian in France, so basically studies in France, and I eventually just called with this girl, and I was that basically I knew she was manipulative from the onset, but I decided to get into the relationship because a friend of mine introduced me to her. So long story short, when we met each other, I was actually like this. I had myself because I just moved to France from Nigeria, and I was completely myself in the sense that I had my game on check, I had everything. I wasn't manipulated by anyone. I hadn't been in any form of relationship in the past, and I met her when I was around 21. So long story short, I moved. I started seeing my friends lesser. I started seeing our family more. I feel like I got manipulated by our family and the rest of those girls. That's just on the other side. So long story short, what happened was uh, she got pregnant basically. And when
Uh-oh.
she got pregnant, I thought something was, yes, exactly. So when she got pregnant, I thought something was weird about the whole relationship, and I decided to move back to Nigeria. And well, unfortunately, she had already asked me before that what would we do in case she gets pregnant. And I told her before that we would definitely take it off before, because I'm not really in a position to be a father. And I made a promise to my dad precisely that I would never start a family until I'm financially capable of like taking care of my wife and the kids and the rest of those, and also be there psychologically to like take care of myself and whatever might be within my space at that point. Long story short, she got pregnant. I decided to move back to Nigeria, and when I moved back to Nigeria, she actually aborted the child without my knowledge. Then she sent me a message on Facebook like, a few weeks afterwards, tell me she had aborted the child, and yes, and she had aborted the child and the rest of those. Then I think that actually that was the main reason why I decided to come back to France, because initially I just came to see my family because I hadn't seen them in 2 years. So that was one of the reasons why I moved back to France. And when I moved back to France, I decided to go through the whole hoops and everything to basically get back. Long story short, when I go back, she started doing the whole manipulation.
Man, what's your caller? Caller, what is your caller? What is your
I wanted to
question?
hear him out, man.
What's your question, man?
So I could just put a question out without giving you the precise details, which obviously is going to be confusing. So I think, long story short, I became a bitch in the sense that I started doing all sort of nonsense. I went into a friend basically, and long story short, she broke up with me and the rest of those, and it's been over 8 months now.
Oh wow!
So the thing is, she blocks me on every social media platform: WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere.
Caller, can I jump in here real quick? Just pretend we know all this and ask your question.
Thank you. Yes, please.
I was liking it.
So the question basically is, this girl actually didn't block me on LinkedIn because I'm this character type of person that wouldn't really. Basically, the only thing I'm interested in.
I'm talking. I can't shut up.
What?
Go is killing me. Oh my god!
Damn.
The question is, to make a long story short. Oh, that was great.
Well, let me address something though that I think that's important. That I think it's important to reiterate what that caller said.
Yes.
Okay, so in the United States, and I go into this in my book, #ShillAlert, the feminist lie. Paternity fraud in the United States is 30%.
Right.
In the UK, it's closer to 50. It's between 40 and 50. If you're dating a woman and she claims that she's pregnant with your kid, get a DNA test the second that kid is squared away, right? Because if you don't, what ends up happening is that if you don't challenge the paternity within a certain period in the United States and in many Western countries, you're not going to get the opportunity to do so, and you waive your right to do so. So what ends up happening is that at the end of the day, if you like, say for instance, let's say your kid hits puberty and doesn't look like you. Now all of a sudden it's too late to challenge paternity, and you're completely fucked and you're trapped. I've seen guys who, they challenge paternity when the kid's 14, and then it turns out that it's not his kid, but because he said the kid was his because he was lied to, he still is stuck with child support. So, when if you're out of wedlock and there's an issue, and even in some cases, if you're married, get a paternity test, just protect yourself.
Yeah, that's no, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's some real talk. I'm just the thing that I want to say to you guys out there is just ask your questions, man. And there's a lot of holes in this that I saw with this guy as far as it pertains to getting someone pregnant. This is why I keep pushing to you guys. Please protect your sperm. Stop having unprotected sex with women, and you won't have to deal with the issues that you're dealing with. Because for some reason, I think he got her. If I think I got the story right, he got her pregnant. He ran off to France, and then he wanted her back. So then he realized she blocked him on all of his apps, and now he wants her back. That's what that is. That kind of the thing, DDJ. Is that what where he's going at with this?
I think so, yeah. And that was the thing. Is the reason I bring that up is because that's like the common thing that happens when these guys find out they're pregnant. They go all blue pill. They're trying to figure it out. They run off. They come back. They go, and they don't know. And then again, this is where extended family mentorship happens. This is where multi-generational mentorship would be helpful. This is where all these opportunities where these men can get this wisdom from places like, Red Man Group, 21 Convention, and all these different things. This kind of stuff saves men's lives. And so, yeah, absolutely. He didn't know what the fuck he was doing, and he was completely lost, as you could hear from his conversation.
To make a long story short.
Yeah, to make a long story long, to make a long story long, man.
Killing me, man. He was killing me. All right, let's go back to the phone line. Looks like we've got someone from out of the country. You are on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead. Yep, anytime now. Live with the Red Man Group. All right, gonna let them go. All right, guys. That's gonna do it. I don't know if there's anything else that we need to discuss, but I think this was a rock solid show. We got a couple of trolls. Had a few trolls in the chat. Actually, hold on. As of right now, we have. Hold on. Let's see if we can get 100 dislikes here. We have 93 likes and 93 dislikes. Right. Wow. We have 93 likes and 95 dislikes. So there is a 2-point disparity. So who knows? Race to the bottom.
Yeah, but the thing that I'm always trying to educate those that are trying to go beyond their thinking is that those dislikes show you why guys like us are always winning.
Yep.
That those dislikes should show you got 95 butthurt, feminine kind of women that are so in their fucking tampaxes that they just want to dislike the show, which is fine. That's your prerogative to like or dislike. That's what
they think they're hurting the show. Like, right.
Well, let me say, yeah, and let me say something else. I mean, I don't really know Donovan and Steve that well, but I am a pretty good judge of character, modestly speaking. And I will say this. Donovan and Steve have been through some shit. They've been out after dark. I've seen the guys in the Red Man Group. They've been out after dark, and they've all gone through some things, right? They've gone through life storms. They've had challenges. The goal here on Red Man Group, the goal here with 21 Convention, the goal with my channel and probably with everybody else's is platforms is to help men through situations when things are not going the way they need to go. It's to strengthen men, to fortify these men, and to help these men out. And so all of us have been through tragedy. All of us have been through trauma. Some, like I said, I went through 2 divorces and everything because I'm a slow learner. But, it's one of those scenarios, right, where we've all been through some stuff. So at the end of the day, if all you have is your negativity is that you have to hit a dislike, okay, go do you. But we're not even breaking stride for that. The message is still the same. The truth is still the truth, regardless of whether or not somebody's too blue pilled to accept it. So so for the people that like the show, for the people that support the show, for the people who support the message of the wise guys that are on this show today, kudos to you. And for the people who haven't, listen, this may not be your time yet. Maybe you go back and review the show later and you go, oh, well, I had this knee-jerk reaction because, there was a dick in my ass, and now that dick's no longer in my ass. Now I all of a sudden, hey, here's what's up. All I'm saying is just, if you got sand in the vagina, go take a shower, figure it out, do what you got to do, and then go from there. Because again, it's not the personalities of the people who say it; it's the truth of the message. Just like Steve said.
Yeah. You know what? Real quick, DDJ. The thing that's so sad is after they click the dislike and they turn off the YouTube, they still got to go back to their life of not being able to get women and not understanding why I can't get women and why they are always using me as toilet tissue and screwing the Pookies and Ray Rays and all the other guys in the world. So
sure.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. We've got one last call before we end the show. Caller, you are on live with the Red Man Group. Go ahead.
Yes, Donovan. Thank you very much for accepting my call.
I absolutely cannot listen to that anymore. Call back next week. Area code 908. I'm Donovan Sharp. That is Steve the Dean Williams. That is DDJ. Thank you guys for tuning in.
I wanted to make a quick announcement. Can I make an announcement real quick?
Good.
Hey, guys, I just want to, for all Monday.
Okay.
Monday at 8 o'clock, guys. The Man Mindset is coming over here. We're gonna be
Yeah.
on some shows, guys. So y'all know how we get down over there. We're gonna be getting down over here on this channel Monday nights, 8 o'clock East. We're gonna do this joint right, guys. Just want to let y'all know.
That's going to be some shit. What do you have going on? Are you working on anything this week, DDJ?
Well, you know, I've been doing a little bit of traveling. I had some out of town guests. I've been doing some things here. I've got some videos coming out. So like there was an issue where a few months back, a prosecutor decided that she was going to teach family law attorneys how to screw men over in family court. And she was basically telling these attorneys to not report crimes and just to use it in family law court so she can divorce rape people. I have it on video. It was part of a continuing legal education. I put it on my channel. Her name is Lisa Levy. She tried to privatize try to make a privacy complaint against me on my channel. It failed. She tried again. It failed. Every time she made one, I made a new video. Finally, I got pissed off and I said, you know what? I'm making a bar complaint. So I typed out a bar complaint using Texas law after I outlined in my video what crime she committed. And I mean like crime, like jailable crimes. So as we move forward, those videos are there for people who want to review them. One of the things I realized is that Elizabeth Warren is doing the same thing. She's a Democratic candidate and she was never licensed to practice law in the state of Massachusetts where Harvard is. Yet, according to the Washington Post, she's taken over 50 clients. She's charging $6.75 an hour and she's never had a bar card in the state of Massachusetts. So one of the things I'm going to be doing this week is I'm going to be doing a video on it, but I'm also going to be putting a bar complaint together so that people can report her to the bar, because the reality is that women should be held to the same standard as men when it comes to legal accountability. It doesn't matter what state you're in. You don't have to be in the state of Massachusetts. Once the video gets up and the bar complaint is there, you can download the bar complaint, you print it, you sign it, you fax it into the bar, you mail it to the bar, and there it is. Because the point is that the more attention that we draw to these corrupt feminists who talk out of both sides of their mouth, the more accountability can happen. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing over the next few days and that kind of thing, and then go from there.
All right, excellent. I, of course, am going to be, I'm on the air twice a day now. I've got TSR Live at 9:30 a.m. And then, of course, I have TSR Primetime at 6:30 p.m. TSR Primetime, of course, is not YouTube friendly. That is for patrons only. You guys can visit me at donovansharp.com. Of course, go to themanmindset.com for all things Steve the Dean Williams. Gentlemen, thank you for making time for us today. This was a great show. I look forward to doing this into the future.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right, man.